It was probably about like 22 weeks when we went to the specialist, and they had a really high definition ultrasound, and then you could see a little bit of like what was there and then like it growing out. You could see that probably that was the first time that we seen it, and we were like, whoa. When we first heard the word encephalocele, we had no idea what it was. We just knew that it involved something with his head. From what they were telling us, there was no possible way that he was ever going to survive. And it was just that there was just too much brain growing out of the skull. And when it grows out of the skull, that it was too damaged, it wouldn't be useful to him anyways. And so we had no hope at that point. Yeah, that's Dad, huh? He just kept saying that the baby would be incompatible with life. Dr. Muir really was the first one that gave us a lot of hope and actually got us thinking that we might actually be able to pull this off.
He's already asleep.
The difficult problem with Bentley was that he had a great deal of brain outside of the skull. So we had to reconstruct the skull in such a way that it would allow this brain to enter the skull.
So we got Bentley's imaging and pulled out the anatomical features we were interested in. So isolated the skull and essentially drew the outlines as it was seen in the imaging to build a model. We're printing another model of Bentley's skull. These prints can take anywhere from a few hours to a day and a half.
We went into this procedure feeling like we had done the procedure many times, and in fact we had. When I look back, say 10 or 20 years ago, many times you'd be seeing the actual anatomy for the first time in the operating room. In a case like Bentley, we've actually done the procedure on these models before we go into the operating room. For Bentley's case, this was a 4 or 5 hour operating procedure as opposed to 20 years ago, this might have been a 14 or 18 hour procedure.
10 years ago, I don't think there was a 3D printer in the hospital. This is still the very early days.
There's no going back from this. Things that you will see coming out of the simulation center in the next 3 to 5 years are going to revolutionize the way we do procedures.
I don't think he would have had the chance he has now 10 years ago. There's no way. For me, I'm looking forward to actually getting him to meet the physical milestones that he was always held back to do and we just couldn't do. He is different, but we're going to try to make it as undifferent as possible. We're going to try to make sure that he has a normal life, and we're not going to try to treat him any different as much as possible.
In terms of the ultimate outcome, it's really hard to say at this point. He did remarkably well, and now 10 days later he's headed back home, so he's really done extremely well.
He doesn't know, but he's stronger than I am. And all I have to do is look at him to keep going when the motivation isn't really there.
I think he's going to put the rest of us to shame as far as taking things in and being strong and knowing how life goes and stuff. I think he's going to be one of those ones that'll just take it all in and be happy with what he gets.